Hi second years, it's Mrs Hamilton here. Welcome to the very first Bertha Park English Department distance learning lesson. So what are you going to learn over the next few weeks? Well, we're going to start every period by starting with a really short spelling activity, and for that you must use paper and pens or pencils, so if you have your literacy jotter at home, please use that. Then we'll be looking at some activities to build up to our main piece, which is a piece of reflective writing. Then after that, we will do a short reading for understanding, analysis and evaluation lesson, or just RUE for short from now on, and that will be based on the textbook we've always used in class. And finally, we will end by looking at some poetry, and each week I want you to reflect on the poem that we've just read and give some feedback on it over your teams. Okay, so we have a plan though for our main piece of writing, which is reflective writing. Week 1, we're going to build on our descriptive writing skills that you already worked on at the very beginning of second year. Week 2, next week, we're going to look at show, don't tell. Week 3, we're going to discuss what it means to reflect, and we're going to use some activities to help us reflect. Week 4, we're going to look at how to plan a reflective piece, and we'll look at some examples. Week 5, we'll use the slow writing method that a lot of you used before in class already, and we'll look at creating our opening to a reflective piece. And then week 6, we'll look at checking your work, editing it before you submit it. Okay, so we're going to start with a quick spelling starter. So for this, you will need either paper or pen or your literacy jotters if you've got it. But then for the final activity, you'll need to go on to your class team, not the main S2 team, okay? So I've picked out 4 words for you, and they're all from the website where the link is at the top of this page. We've got bizarre, definitely, foreign and humorous. The first thing I want you to do is pause this video and write each word out 3 times. On you go. Now what I want you to do is to go onto your class team, go onto the distance learning channel within your class team. So if you're in 2A, go into 2A distance learning. And I want you to type in a sentence using at least 3 of these words. Try and make it as interesting a sentence as you can, but your sentence must make sense. If you're truly struggling, just write out a sentence for each of these words. Okay, we're going on to our main lesson now, and for this we're going to build on our descriptive writing skills. So we're going to start by looking at an example of descriptive writing, and especially in relating to setting. So this is taken from the book Wild by Cheryl Strait, and this was a non-fiction piece of writing, so the whole piece of writing is basically one big piece of reflective writing. And it's about a woman that travelled the Pacific Crest Trail from near Mexico all the way up to the very top of America, all on her own. By noon the heat was so merciless and the trail so exposed to the sun, I wondered honestly if I would survive. It was so hot the only way I could keep going was by stopping every 10 minutes to rest for 5, when I would chug water from my bottle that was hot as tea. As I hiked, I moaned again and again. The sun still stared ruthlessly down on me, not caring one iota whether I lived or died. The parched scrub and scraggly trees stood still indifferently resolute, as they always had and always would. I want you to just think about that piece of descriptive writing. Think about all the different senses that have been used. Think about the figurative language that has been used in there as well. Hopefully you'll be able to see that there's at least one simile in there, loads of interesting word choice, some personification as well. Okay, we're going to move on to the first activity. Remember, for each activity, pause this video and complete it in the time that's been allocated to the activity. Okay, so the first activity is just a figurative language reminder, and you can do this on your OneNote in your distance learning section, or just on literacy jotters, or just on paper. It's up to you as long as you have the notes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at each technique in a definition and an example, and then I want you to come up with your own example. So a metaphor is comparing one thing to something else by saying it is the other thing. An example would be the white blanket of snow. A simile is comparing one thing to something else using like or as to make the comparison clear. An example could be, When he finally reached the well, it was as dry as a bone. Personification. The definition would be giving an inanimate object human qualities. And an example has actually come from the piece of writing we just read. The sun still stared ruthlessly down on me. Hyperbole. And that is extreme exaggeration to make a point or to show emphasis. An example here is there was an infinite number of stairs straight ahead of me. And finally, onomatopoeia. And the definition is when a word sounds like the sound it is describing. An example here is the gravel crunched under my feet. So I want you to pause this video just now and take about 5 minutes, or maybe 10 if you need it, to come up with your own example of a metaphor, simile, personification, hyperbole and onomatopoeia. Okay, now we're on to activity 2, and this time we're going to focus on using the senses. I want you to look at this stock image that I've put in here for you to see. I want you to imagine that you're there. You could be one of the people swimming in the water. You could be one of the people walking by. You might have just stumbled on this out of nowhere. I want you to think about everything that you'd be able to hear if you were there, smell, see. Think about all the colours, all the shades, all the objects, what you might be able to feel on your feet, feel with your hands. What might the air feel like in the weather? Imagine the weather in this place. What might that feel like? Would it be really fresh and clear? Would it be quite hot and sticky? What might you be able to smell? Okay, what I want you to do is just use bullet points and come up with as many details as possible in 5 minutes. So pause the video now. Okay, your next activity though should take you up to about half an A4 page. So I want you to use as much detail as possible. You might need to start by doing some notes, just like you did for the previous activity, or you might just want to go straight into writing. It's totally up to you. What I would like you to do is look around you right now at the room that you are in, okay? I want you to think about the different senses. Right now, in the room that you're in, doing these activities, what could you see, smell, feel, hear, even taste? Maybe you're sipping a cup of tea while you do this, I don't know. Then I would like you to think about different figurative language. Think about onomatopoeia, that's usually a good one to do. Is there scope for some personification? Is this an inviting room, for example? Is the sun smiling through the window if you're looking at a window right now? I want you to think of interesting adjectives as well. Okay, I want you to use 10 minutes just now to write a really big piece of descriptive writing for your setting that you are in right now. Use 10 minutes just now, but this is also going to be part of your homework for next week. Okay, so pause the video and get going. Maybe just now just use the 10 minutes to make the notes and then write it out properly for your homework. Up to you. Okay, so that was the end of our very first reflective writing distance lesson 1. Now we're going on to do some RUI. And when we were in school, we were working on word choice last, so we're going to build on that right now. Okay, so just as a reminder, when you have word choice, you pick out the word and then you explain its connotations. And remember, the connotations are the ideas that you associate with a word. Okay? So for example, the word gobbled suggests that a person ate really fast, or the word scrawl suggests that the person wrote in a quick and messy way. So for your next activity, and I want this done for the Thursday tutorial lesson, okay? What I've done is I've put on a really short piece of word choice work that's been taken from the textbook we would normally use at home, and I've put it onto your class teams as an assignment. So I want you to complete that assignment for the Thursday tutorial lesson, because on Thursday we're going to go over the answers, so you need to have it there so that you know you can self-mark. Okay, so pause this just now, complete this assignment before we move on to the next bit. Okay, so we're going to end each period by reading a poem, and the other thing I want you to do for next week is to think about what this poem means, maybe what the themes are, See if you can spot any figurative language if you can. Okay, I'll put all this really clearly in the assignment pages in your class team so you know exactly what you've got to do for when. And the first poem that I've put up is Good Timber by Douglas Malloch. The tree that never had to fight for sun or sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease, the stronger wind, the stronger trees, the further sky, the greater length, the more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both, and they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. And the link to that poem's there if you want to read more about it. Okay then, so for Thursday tutorial period, I want you to complete the assignment, that is the RUE, and I would also like you to have a think about that poem and what it might mean to you. And then for next Monday, I want you to have fully completed your description of the setting that you are in right now, okay? Right down to maybe the sounds like your pen scratching on the paper, or the kettle boiling if you're about to make a cup of tea, or maybe the toaster's just popped, or the sound of chatter for maybe a sibling that's next door. Anything at all, okay? As many details as possible. You're going to need it because it's going to help you with your reflective piece of writing. Okay, and when you've got that piece that's due in on Monday 30th of April, what I want you to do is add the answers to your distance learning section. Okay, so remember you're describing your surroundings, you're making use of imagery, you're making use of the senses, you're making use of various different adjectives that are interesting, and you're varying your sentence lengths. Okay, that's me done just now, and you've got plenty to keep you occupied. Remember, you can use your class Teams page on the Distance Learning channel to ask any questions. So if you're in 2B, go into 2B, but then go to the Distance Learning bit and use the conversation space in there to ask any questions you like. Okay, bye.